As you know, we have the wonderful Neomal Silva in the virtual house today. He is an expert in stress management and a teacher of Vedic Meditation. He has worked as a management and project consultant throughout Europe and Australia with clients like, Nokia and Accenture. He's taught and conducted research at Oxford University. He teaches a 20-minute technique that provides significantly more rest than sleep and dramatically lowers anxiety levels. In this lunchtime session, you will learn how you can sleep better, feel calmer, and turbocharge your productivity. So, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Neomal, I will hand it over to you.
Fantastic. Look, thanks, Kate. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. Look, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Neomal, and thank you for the great introduction, Kate. Where's everyone dialing in from? Maybe if you could type it into the chat. It's just more fun if it's a bit more interactive. I'm coming in from Richmond. Where's everyone else coming in from? What have we got there, Kate?
Hawthorne, St Kilda, CBD, Melbourne, Richmond, Altona, Mel.
Fantastic. Great. Welcome, everyone. That's great. We've got Melbourne well represented by the look of it. South Bank I can see as well. Great. Look, I hope everyone can see my screen. Who here never wants to have a crappy night's sleep ever again? Right. Everyone here, right? I'm guessing. Now, our conversation today is on how to sleep better and be more productive in these crazy COVID times. You're going to get a lot out of today if you're a business owner or you're a professional who wants to sleep better, feel calmer, and just have a lot more control over your day. Now, I trust you're going to find the value in applying some of the practical ideas that I'm sharing with you today. So make sure you've got a pen and pad ready, just so that you don't miss a thing. Now, what's unique and different about today's session is what I'm going to share is actually based on peer-reviewed science. So it's out of some top journals and some top universities, but it's not theory, right? I'm not going to bore you or bog us all down with theory for the next hour. It's going to be really practical and useful. So I've scooped out just the practical stuff, and that's what we're going to have a look at today. But let's be clear then as to the goal of our time together. I'm going to have this conversation, and the goal of our time together is to help you learn how to sleep, help you learn the steps to sleep better, feel calmer, and really turbocharge your productivity. Without resorting to caffeine or sleeping pills or other short-term solutions that, more often than not, don't actually even work, not long-term anyway. But the problem is that we've actually only got a short amount of time together. So is it okay if I share with you where you can get some further help if you want it? Now, my final ask is that you take action on those ideas that resonate. I mean, let's face it, most people, small business owners in particular, have really struggled over the past year with poor sleep, high anxiety levels, and reduced productivity. So my final ask is that you simply take action on those ideas that resonate with you today. Now, for those who stay till the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what we call the 35% less strategy. This is actually a strategy used by, there's a picture of Richard Branson for you. It's used by people like that. And so it reduces anxiety levels by about 35%. Now, some of the challenges that you're probably experiencing are that you're sleeping badly. You're sleeping badly. You're overwhelmed by work. You're wondering how to stand out in your field and thrive in the current market conditions. And deep down inside, there's work worries. And there's insecurities about the future. And I think really what we all desire in the end is just to sleep well at night, to feel in control of our workloads, and to add value, to be productive and to thrive. in what we do. And I think really deep down, all we really want is not to be worried, right? We want to be resilient and we want to be confident about the future. Now, it was 9:15 p.m. on a Saturday night, way back in January 1994. I looked over at my friend Charlie, who was G'd up and talking animatedly, really excited about the great night he said we were all going to have. We're all going to go out and we're going to have this great night. But something didn't feel at all right. Like, I didn't feel good. I'd spent the previous year studying electrical engineering at Uni of New South Wales up in Sydney. And it hadn't gone well. Like, I'd failed a couple of subjects, I'd scraped passes in the others. And I was really worried about the future, right? I'd walked around for weeks with this knot in my stomach. My head was racing with these doomsday what-if thoughts about my future. I was sleeping really badly at the time, and I was really doubting myself. I was riddled with all this self-doubt about my ability. Could I actually cut it? Was I doing the right thing? Was this what I should be doing? And I'd been this nerd at high school, right? I'd gone to this academically selective high school, and so this stumble, it came as a shock. And here's the thing, I had this desire to be productive, right? To excel, to add value, to succeed at my work and at my studies. And there I was, and I was being really, really unproductive, right? I was failing some subjects. I wasn't doing any sport. I was going out way too much, and I had zero work-life balance. And so anyway, we went to the party. So Charlie convinced us, and we all went to the party. And I remember when I was there, I was speaking to this friend of Charlie's, right? This 20-year-old, bespectacled, bookish type. And he started telling me about this particular meditation that stops anxious thoughts, that kills self-doubt and just lets you get on with things. And I was intrigued because, I was this chronic overthinker. I was an overanalyzer. I had this monkey mind that used to jump from thought to thought to thought. And, as I listened to him, I thought, wow, like, this would be something, right? Like, imagine if I could turn down the unproductive thoughts and turn up just the productive ones instead. Like, I'd be more successful. And I made this decision, right? I made this decision in the middle of this party filled with like 19 and 20-year-olds to actually find out more about this form of meditation. So I did what you did back in January 1994 when you wanted to find out more. I waited until I got home and I looked up the yellow pages, right? M for meditation. Because it was January 94. That's just what you did back then. There was no Google. And so, I waited till the next day. I gave them a call and I found out, I listened to what the benefits were about the technique. And I decided, what, if I even grabbed one of those benefits, like if I just slept better, that'd be something. And so I signed up for the next week's course. Now, in the very first lesson, and it was held in this terrace house in Woollahra in Sydney's eastern suburbs. And I remember I went in, I sat down, I looked over at my teacher, Tom, and listened to the personalized mantra that he gave me, the instructions on how to use it properly. And I got to admit, I felt a bit, out of my comfort zone. I was a bit nervous. I was an anxious person back then anyway, right? But I was a bit nervous, a bit out of my comfort zone, wasn't sure what to expect, but I followed the instruction. And something incredible happened. Like, I felt calm, but like really profoundly calm, like oceanic kind of calm. And I couldn't believe it. Like this monkey mind had kind of quietened down, and it was more like this contented pussycat, right, for the 20 minutes. And I left that Willara terrace afterwards feeling really well rested and feeling feeling kind of invigorated, right? Like feeling really motivated. So rested plus invigorated and ready to kind of do stuff. And I slept better that night. I slept better that night than I had in years. Now, I continued to do the 20-minute technique each morning for the next few days, as well as when I went there for the instruction, because there were 3 subsequent sessions of instruction, 1.5 hours each. And each time I did this, what I found was I felt just calmer and calmer. And like within weeks, I was no longer worried about work and my studies and about life. And within 6 weeks, I'd like completely turned things around. I'd gone from failing a couple of subjects to getting credits in the midterm exams, to getting a distinction in the thesis, graduating with honors in electrical engineering. I got a place to do a master's in London and completed that. Got a distinction in that, and even got a place to do graduate research at Oxford University. So it was this massive turnaround, right? And to be clear, it's not that I was smarter. It's that I was calm. Like it's that I was finally calm. And because I was calm, I was able to execute in the high pressure moments. Because that's the key. Like when you're calm, you execute under pressure. You can just ask any athlete. They'll tell you that when you're calm, you execute under pressure. Now, I had this epiphany, right? This real revelation when I learned that there's this much more effective way to use the mind, to keep it well rested and to use it not on useless worries and anxious thoughts, but just on the productive thoughts. And I realized also that even overthinkers, even over anxious people like the person I used to be, even they can turn down the anxious thoughts and just amplify the productive ones instead. And the importance of knowing this, and I know there's a number of you on the call. I don't know where you are right now with this, but what I do know, and I know it with complete conviction, is that when you learn to calm your mind, you remove the anxious clutter, and you really do succeed at whatever it is you put your mind to. So I'm going to ask you guys, right? How do you relate to my story? Does it resonate for you? And where are you on that journey? Like a lot of people have felt more anxious and, they've slept badly in the past year and they've been less productive. So where are you on that journey towards greater productivity? And I guess let's recap on what we're going to try and cover today, what our goal of our time together today actually is. It's to help you learn how to go about sleeping better, feeling calmer, and turbocharging productivity without resorting to caffeine or sleeping pills or alcohol or other short-term fixes. Now, are you ready to go a bit deeper into that content? Because what I want to start with is a classic mistake, right? The big mistake, here's the big mistake. The big mistake most professionals make is that they try to increase their productivity by pushing the mind to think harder and more frenetically, rather than quietening it down so as to just have it instead think better and much more clearly. Now, when people make this mistake, the classic symptoms are that they're having unsustainably long days. They're starting early and they're finishing late. You're constantly worried, and the worry overwhelms you. You're pulled from pillar to post, and you know, that anxiety means that you can't even think straight. You jump onto social media or YouTube to give your mind some respite, some much needed relief. But then the work piles up and that stresses you out even more. And you end up working deep into the evening, wondering, where did the day even go? Right? And then the stress, right? The stress over the deadlines and the deliverables. It keeps the mind whirring at night and you can't drop off to sleep. 2 months back, Brian, who runs a digital marketing agency, came to me and he was making that classic mistake. He was pushing himself really hard worker, pushing himself hard, working long hours. And he was taking 2 hours to fall asleep, only sleeping 3 to 4 hours each night, having energy slumps, like mid-afternoon energy slumps, and just feeling kind of stressed and overwhelmed by work. Now, here's the thing. Productive business owners know how to switch the mind off for a few minutes so that they maintain great energy levels through the day and they bolster their productivity. Research actually shows that humans have more than 6,000 thoughts every single day, right? And depressingly, 95% of those thoughts are the same thoughts you had yesterday. So what's that mean? It means that you're recycling anxious thoughts. Now, you only have a limited amount of cognitive resources, right? These are the resources in the brain that help you process information, so the speed of processing information, and the resources used for memory and recall and, just kind of productivity, if you like. But you've only got a limited amount of cognitive resources for that. And if you're instead churning 6,000 thoughts every day, most of which are just angsty, anxious thoughts about, my God, is Dan Andrews going to come on the screen again, right? Then you actually tire out your limited cognitive resources. You waste them on, anxiety, but moreover, you tire them out. So they're not available for the important stuff, right? You end up having a mid-afternoon slump when you should be actually ramping up and cutting through the work even more. You end up being less productive. And then that stresses you out and the anxiety then keeps you up at night. So I'm going to ask people, right? I'm going to ask people on the call, like, how have you felt over the last year? It's a classic thing and many people have felt it where, who's overthinking? Who's finding that they are much more anxious now than they were a year or 18 months ago? And who wants to do something about it, right? Who thinks, yes, it's time to actually learn? It's really important, an important thing to do, to learn to actually quieten the mind down, to free up the cognitive resources and become a lot more productive. So I want to encourage people to think about that and to make the decision to do that because, hey, we're in lockdown. I think it's 4.0 now and counting. So do you want the anxiety to ramp up further is the question, or is it time to do something about it? Now, I want to share with you 3 really big strategies, right? 3 strategies that can help you understand this stuff a bit better. The first strategy is the key principle that I want you to understand is that meditation and mindfulness is not for hippies, right? We're not in the 60s anymore, right? It's actually for high flyers who want to excel and perform at the top of their game. Now, the reason why it's important to really get that idea is because meditation's actually the secret weapon of a slew of extremely successful business people and successful sportsmen and women. And let's face it, I mean, the conditions out there are difficult. There's a lot of ambitious people out there. There's a lot of people in our various industries, in your industries. And we know that only a handful are going to pull through this. Only a handful are going to succeed. And so the key to understand is that mindfulness and meditation is, it is a tool used by the likes of Google and Airbnb. And it is actually the tool for many people's success in business and success in other areas. So it was early 2015. Dylan Grimes looked around the Richmond AFL dressing room. He could hear all the comments. He could hear, the chatter from his teammates. He could hear the comments from the weight of expectation from fans and from the media. And he felt really frustrated, frustrated that he hadn't been performing at the level he knew he was capable of achieving and maintaining through the season. And so Dylan made a decision right then, at that point, to seek out a mindfulness meditation practice and to integrate it into his training regimen. In fact, in 2016, the entire AFL team engaged a mindfulness meditation coach. And by 2017, they won the premiership after a 37-year drought. Now, why is that? It's because what's the difference between being good and, being extremely successful and winning? It's the ability to perform in the high pressure moments, literally in this case, to not drop the ball, right? Now, a research survey found that over 140 of the world's top CEOs, business owners, and sports people, they were all surveyed. So a survey was done of them, and they were asked to list out those things that were key to their success. 90% of those people, 90% of these top sportsmen and women, and we're talking top 10, right? 90% of top CEOs and business owners all said that they had some kind of morning meditation mindfulness practice. So it goes to show meditation really is the secret weapon of almost all successful people, right? I mean, 90% of those surveyed said that they had something like that. So so the question becomes then, well, how confident are you about the next year? And would you benefit? Would you benefit from accessing the secret weapon of 90% of top performers so that you too can succeed in your current market, right? That's the question. And the thing to do here is to actually then, if you feel that you could do with such a tool, to look into this and to take the step to do it. Because as I said, we've gone through enough over the past year, and it's time to actually take that step to shore things up. So the next strategy or the next principle that I'm keen to share with everyone is that everyone, even the most frenetic, anxious overthinker, everyone can calm their mind. Now, the reason why it's really, really important to get that is because some of the most frenetic thinkers, the chronic overthinkers, believe that they can't calm the so-called monkey mind that they have. But they can, right? They can. And they're actually the ones who need it most. And why it's important to get that is because when you don't implement a technique to systematically calm the mind in high pressure moments, then your anxiety level increases, health deteriorates, you're vulnerable to things like a breakdown. And moreover, when you don't know how to systematically calm the mind, then productivity suffers, right? Because in those anxious, in the high pressure moments, anxiety just overwhelms you rather than actually remaining calm and executing. And you can't afford that, right? If productivity suffers these days, then people risk going out of business in the kind of environment we're currently in. I mean, it's a little like this. It's a bit like the frenetic Brumby horse, right? We know that even a wild horse can be calmed with the correct technique employed by a horse trainer, And it's likewise here. Even a frenetic overthinker, even an overthinking mind can be calmed with the right mantra-based Vedic meditation technique. Here's what Charmaine, a project manager who I taught 6 months ago, here's what she said about what we helped her with. So she said lockdown and COVID was making her more anxious. She's a big thinker, an overthinker. But Vedic meditation had helped her calm her thoughts. Now, one of my clients, when he came to me a couple of months back, was a chronic overthinker who consistently had this mid-afternoon slump in his energy levels. Now, we sat him down and we walked him through the flow module, which is one thing we teach, which shows how to actually modulate energy levels through the day. And just 2 weeks later, he reported a 3-fold increase in his productivity levels. So, yeah, I want to ask, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at calming your mind in those high pressure moments? And would it help? And is it the time? Surely it is the time to actually do something about it and to learn to do that, to step into it and to do something to address that. I want to talk to you guys also about this other strategy, and it's to do with, well, the principle that you need to grasp here is that you do have 20 minutes, right? Some people come and they say, oh, it sounds great, but do I actually have 20 minutes to meditate? Look, it's important that you realize that you do, and here's why it's crucial. Because the 20 minutes of calm makes the 2 hours afterwards 3 times more productive. The return on investment of your time is massive. It's a bit like, let's use an analogy, it's a bit like your super fund. You put a little bit of money into your super each month, knowing that what you get back long term is massive. And here's the thing, Digital 2021 Australia report reveals that Australians spend 1 hour 46 minutes every single day on social media. At least, right? At least 1 hour 46 minutes on social media every single day. That's 1 hour 46 on YouTube, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever else. 1 hour 46 minutes spent being unproductive. So it's pretty clear. You can grab 20 minutes, right? You can grab 20 minutes from the 1 hour 46 minutes, and you can moreover turbocharge productivity levels when that happens. So that's the question I want people to ask, whether you'd benefit from tripling your productivity. Because, what we want to do here is really not just provide you with a set of interesting facts, like we're doing that, but also encourage you to actually do something about it this time. Recognize that this is something that can triple your productivity, and that in the current environment, it's important to act on that and to actually do it, because, because it's tough at the moment. Now, what I want to do is I want to recap what we've covered. So let's recap on that. Firstly, let's talk about the 3 big problems. So the 3 big problems are poor sleep. So you're sleeping badly, overwhelmed by work. You're wondering how to stand out in the field and how to thrive in these current market conditions. And let's also look at what we've covered today. So we've learnt that the classic mistake professionals make is that they try to increase productivity by thinking harder and more frenetically, when actually the key is to think more calmly and more clearly. You've learnt also that meditation is actually the secret weapon of 90% of uber successful people, 140 successful people surveyed. Thirdly, you've learned that everyone can calm the mind. And fourthly, that we do have 20 minutes because the return on investment is massive. So I want to ask everyone, like, maybe pop it into the chat if you like, but what's been the most valuable thing that we've covered today, right? Like, what have you found valuable? Any of those tips or pointers you found valuable? Pop it into the chat. Always better when we've got a little bit more interaction. Not sure if I'm seeing it. I'm not seeing the chat. Is it maybe, Kate, if you could call out if there is some stuff there?
So Jerry has just said that she, wow, never seem to think I have time, but my phone tells me I have already spent 2 hours on social media. Oh, Jerry. I think we can all relate to that one. But yeah, I think it was, for me, it was definitely this return on your investment, right? The 20 minutes that you're putting into meditation, you get back, 3, 4, 5-fold throughout the day. Absolutely. LJ Shannon also said that we spend almost 2 hours daily. Yeah, it's a shocking
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. They're great. I'm seeing the comments as well. So thanks for the comments, everyone. They're great. And so I guess, yeah, what I want to cover off with everyone is, I suppose the next question is, well, firstly, I want you to think about, I want you to think about your future, right? Like 3 weeks from now. Let's suppose 3 weeks from now, the Victoria government announces another lockdown. But this time, imagine this time you're calm. And this time you're ready to, you're able to adapt to the challenge. Like you're feeling moreover kind of excited about that, and that you're not swamped, but you're in this place and this position to actually calmly execute your skills. And imagine, like, fast forward and think 3 months from now, and this is the kind of experience that I've seen people have when they do take on a meditation practice. 3 months from now, imagine if you've been then sleeping well, you've found these new energy levels and you're preserving that energy level through the day. And you brought all this kind of innovation to your role and to the business, and you've adapted and you've done these great things. And that your clients and stakeholders and colleagues are they're stunned, right? They're stunned at just how well you've rallied when others haven't. And imagine 12 months in advance, right? So picture it 12 months in advance. And I've seen this too, where, you're looking back and you're thinking, wow, you're thinking about the contribution you've made, the massive contribution in a market in which others have struggled. And the question is, well, how does that feel, right? Like, it feels good, right? And it's the kind of thing that you kind of feel, well, enough of the stagnation. It's time to it's time to move forward and get serious about, increasing the productivity and learning a way to systematically do that through, calm and thinking calmly in those high pressure moments. So the question is, well, how do you do this, right? That's the next obvious question. How do you implement the ideas that we've discussed today, so that this isn't just, I didn't want this just to be another session, another webinar that you pop onto and you attend, right? It should be something that actually helps people given the current environment and all of the challenges in this current environment.
I'm going to say a massive thank you for everyone for joining us this lunch. Neomal, especially, thank you so much. Everything you said was incredibly helpful, relevant, especially to the current climate and what's happening at the moment in the state of Melbourne specifically. So it's so good to see so many Melbourne people online today. But once again, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for attending.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Wendy. Thanks, Victoria, and thanks everyone for attending. It's been great. Thank you.
All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll look forward to seeing you online again soon. All right, bye all.
Bye, everyone.